Well, what an exciting event, everybody. It's an absolute pleasure being here. And to all of you joining us live here and at home online or one of the watch parties, thank you so much for joining us and learning more about the Polkadot Blockchain Academy. I'm really excited about the fascinating discussion that we're going to have with our panelists, Pauline, the head of Polkadot Blockchain Academy, Kasper, co-founder of Polimec, and Marcel, lead blockchain engineer of Pendulum. And before we dive in, I just want to say that we have an exciting announcement. We're celebrating actually a one-year anniversary of the Polkadot Blockchain Academy. Yay! Yes. It's hard to believe that it's been already a year since we launched our first academy at Cambridge, and from then we've grown from strength to strength. We had our second wave in Buenos Aires in 2023, which was absolutely successful, and overall in this year we've enrolled 130 students from all around the world, both new talents who are new to the Polkadot ecosystem, but also existing talents who have already been developing and working in the Polkadot ecosystem. And out of those, 98 have successfully graduated. Very well done for that. They've found a home. So about 70% of those have found a home within the Polkadot blockchain ecosystem. We have our graduates who are working on exciting projects. One of them also already joined the fellowship, the Polkadot fellowship. We have two who have enrolled in the Substrate Builders program. And really, we're really proud to say that a lot of our alumni are coming back and teaching at the Academy, creating content, and really building this thriving community. Now, with an exciting journey behind us and with some more fascinating future ahead of us, let's talk about the next step for the Academy. Pauline, what is awaiting us soon?
Thanks a lot, Alexandra. Also taking the opportunity to say hi. It's so great to see so many known faces here between our hiring partners from the parachains, our instructors, our alumni. I'm sure Alexandra or Marta or Tim made a bit of pressure that you had to show up if you wanted to keep your certificate, but it worked, and it's really great to see you there. Coming up. And actually, we have our countdown already going full speed. In 12 days now, we're going to travel to Berkeley and launch our first Polkadot Blockchain Academy in the US and in Silicon Valley. It's a big deal for us. After, as Alexandra said, 2 successful cohorts in Europe and in Latin America, it's the first time we're going to the US. It's also the first time that we're taking not only a proven curriculum to train core developers into everything blockchain, but also obviously applied in Polkadot. But it's also the first time we're going to pilot a new program, given its location in Silicon Valley. We're also going to look at what could help a technical founders or a founder in general, when they are at the beginning of their journey, looking at different protocol, asking themselves the question, where should they build their venture, how to grow their project, and what is happening, what is the education they need for this early stage of their journey as a founder. So we're very excited first to test again and learn from how can we best support aspiring core developers in Polkadot, but also targeting another type of, another impact and supporting technical founders in their journey. So very excited about this one.
Yeah, this is amazing. So really, each iteration of something new is coming up at the Academy. But what does it make different from other educational programs out there in the blockchain space?
So the original vision that Gav had about the Polkadot Blockchain Academy is actually still very close to what we are producing every time, was to bring great minds together and bring them in together for a highly demanding academic program. And we have the word academy in our name. It's not just to optimize our SEO or to pretend for a certain standing. It's actually a very strong point of view in how we think about the curriculum. We wanted to bring people to have a highly intensive academic experience in an academic program where we are not jumping into the implementation. This is not, and there are some very valuable vocational programs and boot camps that exist. Some of them are actually covering Polkadot or Substrate Bootcamp and all the great programs. But we thought that there was actually a need on the market for an academic program program that would take experienced Web2 developers or beginner or mid-career already blockchain developers and aspiring blockchain developers and teach them about the first principle of cryptography. Why is cryptography so important for blockchain? Economics and pre-disciplinary principle. How does that connect to blockchain? What are blockchains and the different protocols? And then, of course, going into Polkadot and what makes Polkadot different. So we decided to have a full-on classroom experience, bring great minds that had to pass a pretty rigorous Rust exam and entrance exam and talk with our recruiters and make it, to give you an idea, every cohort we had over 700 applications for 50 to 75 spots in the classroom. And we stopped at 700 applications because we didn't have the resources to read more applications and to process more applications. So it's always, it's quite a rigorous entry exam. It's quite a looked after, or it's quite a popular program, we can say. And I think it's also connected that we bring people for a program that is known to be intense, but it is very rewarding because at the end of the program, they will have connected not only with the instructors, but also with their peers and already have a community when they start their journey in Polkadot. They're also, and that's another, I think, specific aspect, so we're very academic and we're not just focusing on the vocational aspect of the program, but really going all about what makes blockchain before going into the implementation and, of course, the Polkadot-focused content. We bring people together and really push the community and the context that they're going to create. And I think the third point that made the Academy special and so popular is that we didn't hire a professional teams of professors. We actually brought the builders on stage. We brought the developers that are working on the protocol. We brought the Parity core developers. We brought the core developers, or sometimes even the founders of our parachains and ecosystem projects, to be on stage and teach about the use cases, what are they building, and share about their technology. And this is something I haven't seen yet in other programs.
Yes, so let's hear from somebody who has passed the rigorous selection process and had actually experienced the very first year of the academy. Marcel, how do you testify? How was your experience in Cambridge?
Yeah, so first of all, just to give some context, I joined the very first cohort of the academy in Cambridge. And before that, I actually already had some prior experience because I was working on Pendulum for about a year already. But yeah, so let's maybe first talk about the overall experience, like the atmosphere aspect. I think what was really great is that you can basically assume that all of your fellow students and also the instructors and teaching assistants, they all share a common interest in blockchain and Web3 technologies. And so while you're there, you just feel like you have so many like-minded people, and it's just such a great learning atmosphere, actually. And as Pauline already mentioned, so you're learning from experts. So the lectures and workshops you get, they are built, or they are created by the very people who actually worked on the code, who were involved in creating the relevant protocols. And this is so cool because if you have any questions, then you can be very sure that you actually get them answered properly. Yeah, and besides that, so to be fair, the schedule is quite tight. So there is a lot to learn, and you really have to be willing to learn. But I think even though it's tight, you get all the necessary things, because if you run into some problems, you need some help, then you can reach out to one of the many teaching assistants and you get your help. So in my opinion, it's very doable. If you're willing to put in the work, then everyone can graduate from it. And yeah, besides that, I think it's great that the academy crew actually also tries to have some social events and activities, so that you're not thinking about blockchain 24/7, but more like 22/7. You know, you get some time off. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, and were you able to apply what you have learned at the academy at your job afterwards?
Yeah, so in my opinion, you learn so much at the academy. Like you learn the ins and outs, the nitty-gritty details of all things Polkadot and Substrate. And to be honest, you don't need all of that on a daily basis as a parachain developer. But for example, if you're working on palettes, then sometimes you have to take some architectural decisions, like you have to think about how to store items on-chain. And there are plenty of things that you can do wrong. Like you should be really aware of the implications of the different structures that you can use. And at the academy, you learn how storage works, you learn the pros and cons of all that. Also, I think it's important, for example, when you do runtime upgrades, that you know at least how the components roughly interact so that you actually know what you have to look out for. For example, most of the time when you're doing a runtime upgrade, which happens quite frequently, then you most of the time also have to touch the client code, and I think that's also quite important to actually know how the architecture works overall. So all in all, I would say you don't need everything on a daily basis, but it surely helps to have the understanding and deeper knowledge.
Yeah, that's actually very fascinating. And one of the quotes that actually we get from the alumni is that before I knew how to drive this car, but actually now I know how this car is built. And it's a very different perspective of your work and your understanding of the space. That's absolutely true. But let's hear the opinion of somebody who's actually hired two of our alumni. Kasper, you've hired the alumni from Wave 1 and Wave 2. And how do you think have they contributed to the work at Polimec?
Yeah, so we hired actually, both from Cambridge, but also from Buenos Aires. And well, I guess the first hire was so successful that we chose to go there for number 2 as well. And these are our 2 core blockchain engineers that we have on Polimec. And I think for our founding team we're not technically minded, but more financially minded or analytical minded. So we're looking for how do you actually get someone on board on a team that can bring that knowledge about the technology that you're developing on, because you have a good idea about the technology, where you want to go, but you need someone that actually is able to, let's say, put it into code or actually make sure that that we can actually get the vision out there. And it's not just figuring out how to code things, but it's actually a lot more of how do you figure out to solve all the problems that comes along. And as a non-technical founder, then you end up having some kind of idea, and you need to actually have someone that you can spare about of how do you actually make the right decisions, how do you make the right design decisions, and how is you implementing that the right way, and that you have protocol engineers that are so knowledgeable about the code that you can have a proper back and forth about what's the right way to do it. So I think that's one thing. And I think the other thing is very much of making sure you have engineers that actually have a network outside of the project. Because currently we have 2 core engineers, and of course they can talk to each other, but everyone that's building on Polkadot should learn from each other. And I think that's very much what we're trying to do all over the Polkadot ecosystem, of learning from each other. And I think the Academy supports that really a lot in making sure that all the alumni that comes out of the Academy has this huge network, both between each other, but also within Parity, to make sure that it's very easy to make those connections. And I think that's a benefit both for Polkadot as ecosystem, but also in the individual project.
Yes, that's true. You can always improve and learn. And do you have any examples of the projects that your alumni, well, the Polkadot Blockchain Academy alumni are working on at Polimec?
Yeah, so for Polimec, they're doing the entire implementation of our core blockchain on Polimec. A good example that I think we announced it just today, our collaboration with Kilt and also with Deloitte of integrating KYC credentials on Polimec, and this has been a lot of the work that our core devs has also been involved in, of both discussing with other parachains of how to do it, but also on implementing something that's actually a big collaboration with a huge enterprise that comes probably from a different world at what we're looking at when we're looking at blockchain startups. So it's sort of meeting of different minds and actually making sure we can implement something that really works, and that it's not something that takes ages to get out, but actually something that we can iterate on and launch very, very quickly.
That's fascinating. That's really great contribution. And it's actually one of the 2 points that both of you have been making, Kasper and Marcel, that I think are really close to the hearts of us who are organizing and implementing the Academy, is that really the deep understanding and the knowledge of the technology, but also the community building. So the Academy experience really goes beyond the realm of the academic, and we really make sure that we forge a community of talented developers who make connections and friendships actually for life. So with all of this just happening in actually 1 year of a time span, Pauline, do we have any more surprises ahead of us?
Thank you. So we're trying to survive, trying to launch Berkeley in 12 days and have a successful wave. I think that's the short-term vision, but a big one. Afterwards, we want to continue doing it, looking at other continents, other markets that need more talent, both core developers and technical founders and entrepreneurs. So we're looking at Asia for 2024, and we'll announce hopefully soon our academic partners and location for the coming year. We're also planning to create a separate entity for the Polkadot Blockchain Academy, and we're really excited to be engaging with you, with the community, as we are doing so and preparing our proposals coming up in the next few months. So we're going to stay active and hopefully stay in touch with many of you, and hope to see a good number of you on the other side of the ocean in Berkeley in a few days.
Fascinating. Thank you so much. Well, thank you everybody very much for the attention and for being there and supporting us at the Academy. Thank you so much for all the partners who have been working with us. We've had about over 17 parachain teams who have actually been working with the Academy so far, and we've hoped that many more will join us in implementing and in making sure that the Academy becomes a real success for many, many years to come, and really the strongest educational program in the blockchain space. And yeah, we're looking forward to seeing you very soon in Berkeley, those of you who are traveling with us. And definitely stay tuned and follow what's happening at the Academy. And we'll be sharing some behind the scenes and some exciting news stories from our alumni and the students there. So thank you so much, everybody. And yeah, that's a wrap.